Think back to your childhood, the smell of home-cooked food on a Sunday afternoon, the sound of laughter spilling from neighbors' houses, the comforting arms of your mother after you scraped your knee or came home crying. Now imagine a song that captures all of that in just few notes. A song so powerful, so emotional that it speaks to the hearts of every African, no matter the country, the language, or the culture. That song is Sweet Mother. For almost 5 decades, Sweet Mother has been more than just a tune. It has been a cultural anthem. It has been a unifier. It has been the background music to millions of African weddings, naming ceremonies, birthday parties, and family gatherings. And behind that song stood one man, a man who never gave up on his dreams, even when record labels slammed the door in his face. A man who blended the sounds of highlife, soukous, and palm wine guitar into something entirely his own. A man who carried the hopes of 2 nations in his voice, Nigeria and Cameroon. That man was Prince Nico Mbarga. But his story is not just about one hit. His life was filled with triumphs, tragedies, betrayals, and resilience. His career reflects the struggles of African artists who gave the world timeless records but were never fully rewarded for their genius. This is the story of how a young boy with a guitar created the greatest love song Africa has ever known. This is the life, the struggles, and the everlasting legacy of Prince Nico Mbarga, the man who gave Africa its eternal anthem of love. Prince Nico Mbarga was born on January 1st, 1950 in Abakaliki, southeastern Nigeria. He came into the world at the very beginning of a new decade, a time when Africa itself was waking up to independence and new possibilities. His father was a Cameroonian and his mother was a Nigerian. This mixed heritage gave him a unique cultural identity. He grew up in Ikom, a town in Cross River State, Nigeria, where traditions were strong, music was everywhere, and community life was the backbone of society. From his early days, Nico was surrounded by rhythm. He would watch traditional dancers beating drums and hear local singers filling the night air with stories. Music was not just entertainment in his community. It was history, culture, and identity. As a child, Nico showed a deep fascination with instruments, but it was the guitar that captured his soul. He would spend hours strumming, imitating melodies he heard from church choirs and palm wine musicians. By his teenage years, he had developed a style that was already distinct, bright, sweet, and joyful. His mother believed in him. She encouraged him, telling him that music was a gift from God, but his father was less optimistic. He worried that music was not a real career. Music cannot feed a man, he would often warn and say. But Nico knew something his father didn't. Music was his destiny, and he was ready to chase it. The 1960s were turbulent times in Nigeria. The promise of independence quickly gave way to political unrest. By 1967, the country was plunged into a bloody civil war, the Biafran War. For Nico, who was just beginning to dream of a career in music, the war was devastating. Concerts were cancelled, travel was restricted, fear replaced joy in the streets. But even in the midst of chaos, Nico held onto his guitar. In the dark nights when gunfire echoed, he played soft melodies to calm himself and those around him. While others saw only despair, Nico's music became a form of resistance, a reminder that joy could survive even in wars. The war delayed his career, but it also shaped his music. It gave him resilience. It gave him the understanding that life was fragile and precious, and it gave him the determination to use music as a way to bring people together when the war finally ended. When the war ended in 1970, Nigeria was rebuilding, and so was Nico. He moved to Onitsha, a bustling city known for its market and lively nightlife. If you wanted to make it as a musician in southeastern Nigeria, Onitsha was the place for you to be. In 1971, Nico formed his band, called Rocafil Jazz. At first, it was just a group of friends with instruments, playing small gigs in bars and hotels. The money was little, but the crowds loved them. Nico's sound was different. It wasn't just copying Ghanaian highlife or Congolese soukous, he was mixing them. He added palm wine guitar licks, upbeat rhythms, and sang in Pidgin English, the language everyone could understand. His music wasn't just for elites, it was for the people. But when they tried to approach record labels, they were rejected. Executives told Nico his music was too simple, too different. They said it would never sell. But Nico did not stop. Night and night, Rocafil Jazz kept performing, and slowly word spread, crowds grew larger, and fate was about to reward Nico's persistence in the most unexpected way ever. Nico Mbarga's masterpiece, Sweet Mother, didn't appear overnight. It was born out of thought, love, and frustration. He first wrote the melody in the early 1970s as a young man, still searching for his breakthrough. At the time, he was deeply inspired by his mother's sacrifices, her encouragement, her strength, and her faith in him. He wanted to honor her, but in honoring her, he unknowingly created a universal song for all mothers. When he first presented Sweet Mother to record executives, they dismissed it. They said, and I quote, "Songs about mothers won't sell," end of quote. They wanted political protest songs or dance hits, but Nico believed in his vision. He performed the song in clubs and people sang along. Mothers danced with tears in their eyes. Fathers nodded in respect. Children giggled and clapped. Nico knew he had created something special. Finally, in 1976, after years of rejection, a smaller label agreed to record it. The release changed African music forever. Sweet Mother went on to sell more than 13 million copies, a staggering number, especially for the 1970s. It outsold many Western hits of the era, but received little recognition outside Africa. The song's power was in its simplicity. Sung in Pidgin English, the lyrics were easy to understand. Everyone, no matter their tribe or language, could relate. The guitar melody was gentle and playful, but it carried a depth that tugged at the heart. For many, hearing Sweet Mother was like hearing their own story. It was the African experience captured in the song. Mothers struggling to raise children, mothers sacrificing everything for their children, and showing unconditional love. Across the continent, the song became more than entertainment. It became ritual. At weddings, it was played to honor mother-in-law. At birthdays, children danced to celebrate their mothers. At naming ceremonies, it was played as a blessing. The BBC would later call it Africa's greatest song, and some went on further, naming it Africa's unofficial national anthem. Prince Nico Mbarga, once a rejected musician, had become a household name, and though he would create other songs and albums, Sweet Mother would forever be his crown jewel. Behind the bright lights of success, Nico faced storms. The first storm came from within his own band, Rocafil Jazz. Money had started flowing in, but managing it was difficult. Some members felt underpaid, while others thought Nico was claiming too much credit. Arguments broke out, sometimes even on tour. Musicians who had once been brothers began to drift apart. The second storm came from record labels. In an era when African musicians had little legal protection, Nico's contracts were heavily skewed against him. Despite selling millions of records, he earned only a fraction of what the music was truly worth. The label executive reaped profits, while Nico struggled to sustain his growing responsibilities. Then there was the problem of global recognition. While his song spread across Africa and into Europe, Nico himself remained relatively unknown internationally. Unlike artists such as Fela Kuti or Miriam Makeba, who were promoted in Western media, Nico's success stayed mostly within African borders. This was partly due to the type of song he had made. Sweet Mother wasn't a political anthem or a protest track. It was a family song, a love song, and in the global market, it was often overlooked as too local. Still, Nico remained true to himself. While Afrobeat exploded, while Makossa swept through Cameroon, while new disco-inspired African pop rose in cities like Lagos and Accra, Nico refused to abandon highlife. For him, music was not about chasing trends. It was about joy. It was about identity. But the struggling took their toll. His band would eventually split and reform multiple times. Some members left to join other groups. Financial worries followed him, and though he remained loved by the people, he never truly enjoyed the world or recognition that matched his success. Yet through it all, Nico never stopped performing. He toured constantly across West Africa, and no matter the city or the country, one request never faded: Sweet Mother. And whenever he played it, the audience erupted, mothers cried, and children sang. It reminded him and the world that despite the struggles, he had given Africa something eternal.
Make you come out safely. You come stay with us and see the wonderful work of God.
By the late 1980s and the early 1990s, the African music scene was shifting rapidly. Highlife, the genre Nico had championed, was losing ground. Younger audiences were drawn to Afrobeat, to Makossa, and to the rising sound of Afropop. In Nigeria, musicians like King Sunny Ade and later younger Afrobeat stars began to dominate the stage. In Cameroon, Makossa stars such as Petit Pays were the new sensation. For Prince Nico Mbarga, this was a difficult time. He continued to perform, but the fame and attention were no longer the same. The latter albums never reached the heights of Sweet Mother. Audiences still loved him, but mainly for that one song. Some critics even labeled him a one-hit wonder, which was an unfair description considering his rich body of work. But the truth was clear: nothing made could ever surpass Sweet Mother. Still, Nico remained devoted to his art. He was often described as humble, soft-spoken, and deeply spiritual. Fans who met him recalled a man who never acted like a star, but instead like a friend. Then, on June 24, 1997, tragedy struck. While riding his motorcycle in Calabar, Nigeria, Nico was involved in an accident. He died. He did not survive. He was only 47 years old. The news spread quickly, leaving fans across Africa in shock. In villages, towns, and cities, radio stations played Sweet Mother in tribute. Mothers wept. Musicians mourned the loss of a pioneer. People asked, how could a man who gave us so much love be taken so soon? His funeral drew large crowds. He was remembered not just as a musician, but as a cultural icon. His death was a reminder of the struggles African musicians often face. Global fame denied, financial reward lost, but cultural impact everlasting. Prince Nico Mbarga may have died young, but his music endured. He will never truly be gone. Even in death, his guitar still sang.
I dey watch you with care. I dey watch you make you no go wrong. And by the grace of God, you begin to grow.
Though his life ended too soon, Prince Nico Mbarga's legacy has never faded. Sweet Mother continues to be played across Africa and in the diaspora. Generations who were not even born when it was released still know the words. Musicians from different genres have cited Nico as an influence. His guitar style, his use of pidgin English, and his ability to connect deeply with emotions of everyday people paved the way for future African stars. To this day, when Africans gather, whether in Lagos, Accra, Douala, or London, you can be sure Sweet Mother will be played. It is not just a song, it is Africa's anthem of love. Prince Nico Mbarga gave us joy. He gave us unity. He gave us a way to honor the people who raised us. And though he left this world too soon, his voice, his guitar, and his message will live forever. Prince Nico Mbarga may have just been one man, but his music belongs to everyone. Every time Sweet Mother is played, every time families gather and sing, Nico lives again. His legacy is proof that music, true music, never really dies. This was the life, the struggles, and the eternal legacy of Prince Nico Mbarga, the man who gave Africa its greatest love song. If you like content like this, please make sure to comment, like, and share this video. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next.